Welcome back. It's Wendy Outdoors, and Bob and I are up at the little off-grid cabin, again doing a bit of work and also enjoying ourselves for a couple of nights. The last major job really at the little cabin is to put a railing around the deck. It was a little bit of a drop and off the deck, and with dogs and kids and adults too, it's really needed to be done to make it a little safer up here. So Bob's working on that, and we'll go up and have a look at that in a minute. And I'm going to once again try to use the Dutch oven. This time I'm going to make a yeast loaf. I brought the dry ingredients with me, and I'm just going to mix that up in a little bit and do some kneading. Try and find a sunny spot to put the bread to rise. And this time I'm going to use briquettes to see what the difference is. Last time when I did the cornmeal cake, I used open fire. And so I thought, well, it'd be interesting to see what the difference is. So that's my challenge today. That along with helping to hold pieces of lumber and fine pieces of lumber and just be a very minor assistance to the main carpenter who's doing all the work. You can hear him hammering in the background. So with that, let's just get on with it, and we'll see how this new bread making goes. Okay, there's background noise here between the generator and Bob sawing, but this is the little kitchen counter, and I've scalded the milk, put in the butter. Over here I put in some of the liquid plus 2 eggs, and I'm going to mix this together, and I have extra flour, and of course I've got my bag with my yeast, salt, flour, and raisin mix. So we'll have a look at this when I get this into a soft ball. Okay, here's the loaf. I've just pretty much finished kneading it. Note granite countertops. Like, how many little cabins actually have granite countertops? And my son found these cabinets somebody was throwing out or selling really cheap because they're renovating their kitchen. The countertops came with it, and I mean, even if the cabinets don't work out, this countertop's awesome. So it was worth whatever he paid for the covers. Anyway, I think that's pretty good. Now it's supposed to rest for 10 minutes, but I'm going to, you see all the raisins in there. It's a sweet dough, and so it's a bit heavy. I think I'm just going to put it back in the bowl and out of the wind. Give it a little dusting of some flour. Doesn't stick. And I'm going to put it in the bowl and cover it. I'm going to take it down by the fire, by the Dutch oven. Just thought I'd give you a little view of the cooking area down by the fire pit. I mean, somebody might ask me, why are you doing this while you're, supposed to just be sort of sitting around at the lake, and now you're making bread from scratch? I think, well, why not? Look at, you can do things like that and have this view at the same time. It's amazing. Our 10 minutes is up, and I think I'm set to put the bread in. Get the lid off here. Oh, it's really nice and warm. So as you can see, I've prepared the pan ahead, and here's our little loaf. Lift it up carefully. It says it's all you do. Instead of the normal 2 rises, it's rested for 10 minutes. See, how does that look? That looks all right. And I'm just going to cover it, and I'm going to check it in 30 to 40 minutes, I think. And then I think I would start the briquettes. Pop the lid on, keep it warm. Good. All right, we wait and see what happens. I went online and did some research about using briquettes, and it was highly recommended that you purchase one of these. It wasn't that expensive. I think it was about $16. And use this for starting your briquettes rather than dousing them with a fire starter, especially when you're using them for cooking. So evidently you put newspaper in here, crumpled newspaper. You put in your briquettes, You light the paper, and then in about 15 to 20 minutes, your briquettes should be ready. I've never used one of these, but I thought it was worth a try as I'm going to continue, if I'm going to continue cooking with the Dutch oven and also on the grill, and maybe we don't always want a fire. So we'll see how that goes. Okay folks, I've just lit this briquette chimney. I can hear Bob still sawing away up there. I put 3 or 4 pieces of newspaper crumpled in the bottom, and then I put 40 briquettes because I'm thinking I'll have 12 on the bottom and 24 on the top with a few extra. That may be too many, I don't know, but now I'm supposed to just let this smolder away for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then the briquettes are supposed to be ready to be used. So here's the bread. It's risen quite a bit, and I think maybe it's not quite double, but it's looking actually, I'm pretty pleased with it. So I'm just going to pop the lid back on, and by the time hopefully the briquettes are ready, I would say the bread could go on the heat. So timing is everything, they say. I'm not sure if I got the right timing here or not. All right, see what happens in another 10 minutes. I'm just going to get down here. When all else fails, you should actually try to read the instructions. Where's my little book? This little booklet came with the Lodge cast iron Dutch oven that I purchased, and I went over this about determining the temperature and doing the baking. It says to try to be sure to put the pot in a windscreen. So I've emptied out this little cooking fire pit. It's just about the right size, and that should help with keeping the wind off it and cooling it down. And then there's a handy little chart here. For 350 degrees for a 12-inch Dutch oven, I should put 8 coals on the bottom and 17 on the top. 17 precisely. This time I've got all the required tools, although that other garden tool worked okay. I've got what they want you to do is place the briquettes in a circle underneath with a few in the middle, so I've done that. I've got my 17 on top and a little pile of extras in case I need them. You're going to see this when I see it. Now, I haven't actually used this before, so I might have to fumble around a bit. But this you put the lid on here so that it doesn't get in the dirt. And I'm going to lift the lid and have a peek. I'm going to just try this. Let's see. Okay, I can see that it needs more. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rotate the Dutch oven, and now I'm going to go that way. So now I have to rotate. All right. Now it looked like the top had a long way to go, so I'm going to put, I think a lot of this is up to your own judgment, but I'm going to put a few more of these on the top. So the top wasn't nearly brown. You could see though it's baking. Yeah, just watch me burn this now, right? After all this. Well, you're coming along for the ride, and if you were here, you might have a better idea. But anyway, I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to go back and check it in 10 minutes. All right, I think it's time to give this another look. It should, I can actually smell it. It doesn't smell bad, so that's a good sign. But yeah, I can. So hopefully I haven't burnt it. Oh, look at that. Wow. I'll get the camera. Okay, folks, what do you think? Looks pretty done, don't you think? Don't want it to be raw in the middle. Not quite sure how to get it out and check, but I tapped it, and I think it's done. Wouldn't that be great if it worked? All right, let's hope. I've put it back on. I tried to lift it, and I don't think the bottom's quite done enough. So I've taken the coals off the top, moved them to the bottom, and hopefully kind of moving the bread around a bit because I had to lift it. Hasn't injured it, but it's not burned. So I think we're going to be okay. And I just will move these down, keep a little bit on the top. I think that's probably okay. They're pretty little now. And I do them more to the outside because the top, the center was quite well done. So I'm going to move these out to the outside edge because I thought the bread could do more there. And then we'll see what happens with just trying to brown the bottom a little bit. So maybe, what do you think? 5 or 6 minutes? Yeah, I think it could easily go that long. So, all right. Gives you a good idea though, doesn't it? It's not the same as putting your oven at 350 and setting your timer for 30 minutes. So, there's a definite challenge to this, but I'm having a good time. All right, we'll see you again in another 5 minutes or 5 or 6. Okay, for better or worse, I think this is probably it. I feel a little nervous about it. Like, why? Why am I feeling nervous? It's just because I want it to work. I really want it to work. So, I would say I might have... Oh, I think I've got it this time. I'll lift it out. I think these aren't too bad. All right. Here's the bottom. Here's the top. I'd be afraid to cook it anymore. So what do you think, eh? I think it might be okay. I think it might be okay. We won't know till we take it up to the house and let it sit for a bit and open it up. You're all in this with me. You're going to see it for better or for worse. It's cooled down a bit. It doesn't seem to have collapsed, which is good, but I'm just going to try and cut a piece off. My biggest fear is that it's going to be raw in the middle, which, you know, it could be. All right. Lots of raisins in here, so it's a moist bread. I would say, I don't know, we'll see when we taste it. I would say it could have sat in the baker for a few more minutes, but it is a heavy loaf. It's not a really light loaf, so I guess the proof will be in the tasting. But yeah, it's just borderline. So I think what I do the next time is I would take it off the coals and just leave it sit with no coals in the hot oven for maybe a few more minutes. But it's totally edible, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to cut this in half here. Bob and I'll have a taste. And you can't really have a taste with us, but we'll give it a go and see. Here, Bob. Bob doesn't want to be in the picture.
Thank you.
He's shy. No, he's just really dirty from working. All right. Taste it.
Very good.
I think it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it, it could have baked a bit longer. But it's certainly not going to go to waste. It's totally edible. And being a heavier loaf anyway, maybe I'll have to try just a regular bread loaf with no raisins. But yeah, I would say 10 minutes with no heat extra, and it would be perfect. So, all right, so that's it for this afternoon. And I thought that maybe before we leave tomorrow, I'd give you a little tour of the cabin. It won't take long because it's very small. All right then, I'll put the camera on when we are ready to clean up and leave the cabin behind tomorrow. Good morning, everybody. Bob and I have just finished tidying up the little cabin, and Bob's down there packing the tin boat with less than what we had to pack to come up here, which is the normal, the normal story. So I just had a little update on the bread. We had it this morning as French toast for breakfast, and it was awesome. Had a really good look at the center of the loaf, and it was definitely done. But if any of you have experience using a Dutch oven and doing some baking and have some ideas for me, please pass them along in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. I think we can learn from one another, and overall I think it was a successful experiment, and who knows what'll be happening next. We're getting probably close to the fire season where they'll be, even despite all this rain, it won't be long probably before they clamp down on campfires, and I'll be back to using my alcohol stove, which is fine too. So I told you if you were interested in hanging around, I'd give you a little tour of the cabin, which won't take very long. So we'll go do that now before we sign off. Okay, well, here's the porch and the entrance. By the way, there is our fierce watchdog, Harley. Harley, that's a good boy. Harley is a wonderful 12-and-a-half-year-old Labrador who's starting to have difficulties with his structure and his walking, but he's happy if he can come along with us, even though he would prefer to stay home. Here we have the little kitchen. Right now the water is perched on some upside down garbage cans, but the next project is to build a shelf for them. Turning back, we have the lovely view and the completed deck rail with mounted side table, which Bob worked on this weekend. The inside is basically 11 by 12, and inside we have some of the outdoor furniture, which I put in while we're away, a Murphy bed. Over here is another cupboard that we got from a salvage, and a propane heater. From under the window is a table, a drop leaf table, a very, very old handmade one, which I'm actually still in the process of restoring and repainting, and two wonderful rattan wicker chairs that I got for next to nothing at the Salvation Army used furniture store, and had somebody make new covers for the cushions, and they're absolutely perfect in here. This is the doorway and the loft ladder, which Bob made, which goes up to a decent sized little loft, and the kids sleep up there. This is the crawl space underneath, which actually has very little room to crawl. It's mainly filled with dirt. And if we look up, we see the cabin. I love it here, and this was one of the first times that Bob and I together have actually had some downtime, and we both said what a great place this is. It's small, but it works, and it would work for 4 people if the weather was okay, cooperative. It would be a bit tight if you had to spend 2 or 3 rainy days up here. There's no doubt about that. Beautiful morning, and Bob's down there waiting for me to close everything up and bring the dog down. So thank you very much for coming along, and I have an idea for next week which is going to be totally different, but it's very weather dependent. So we'll see what happens when we get there. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to come along in the next mini adventure, please hit subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye for now.